Hello and welcome to the Library Grindhouse. The only ticket you need is your library card. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Leah, and today we'll be reviewing Stephen King's short story, The Lawnmower Man, which was then turned into the film, The Lawnmower Man, but has almost no connection to the film.
Hence Stephen King's successful lawsuit to take his name off the movie because it had little to nothing to do with it. Well, let's dive right into it. So, did you like the story? Did you have fun with it? Like, sometimes early King is hit or miss.
I actually did. I thoroughly enjoyed the story. I read this first before I watched The Lawnmower Man.
As you should.
And it had nothing to do with it. I was totally blown away. I feel like I walked into that movie completely blind. I was expecting something totally different. So if you have seen The Lawnmower Man, the short story has nothing to do with virtual reality. It has...
So disappointing.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with like humans taking intelligent enhancement vitamins, so they called it. Yeah.
The Lawnmower Man has all their faculties, like both lawnmower people he engages for services are fully equipped with their faculties from what we can tell.
Yeah.
So there's really little to nothing other than a set piece or so that winds up in the movie. Because even the mower's not similar.
Yeah, exactly. I was very surprised that the mower that he was using was very tiny, and it wasn't like as boisterous as the one in the short story. It wasn't as loud, or you know what I mean?
No, for a lawnmower called Big Red in the movie, I was expecting like double reel or like, you know, a wide fella, like a 6 foot wide, you know, landscaping mower.
The only thing that I did appreciate that they did in the film in terms of Big Red was I did like the rotating blades in front.
Oh, you had to have
I
that.
did like
yeah.
You know how most of the time mowers nowadays, the blades are on the bottom, you can't see them, but
Right.
it had like the turning blades. Yeah, I did appreciate that, but I guess it kind of had to be that way.
It also didn't live up to its potential in any way in that regard, though.
True.
Neither did this story, if you think about it.
I mean, kind of. I want to say, and actually in the movie, because of the turning blades, they were able to go after the guy in the house, you know.
I think the film needed to have, because in this story, I mean, it starts off where like the kid mowing the lawn that the guy had, the narrator of the story, or the point of view character, sorry, it's a third person narrative, but the point of view character has hired a teenager to mow the lawn, and a neighbor's cat inadvertently runs in front of the mower while it's going, and the kid can't stop in time, and the cat just gets destroyed.
Which is sad, obviously.
It's super sad.
But it's very quick, you know, so for all you animals lovers out there, you don't really get into the very gruesome details. It's just, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, and his wife was like disgusted because she came home when they were trying to clean the blades off and things like that. It was kind of gnarly. And it's one of those things where I feel like the movie could have used like Job accidentally gets distracted, like the neighbor kid's like, "Hey Job," and he looks, and then like an animal gets under the mower, and we see like what happens, because when someone does get mowed over later, there's absolutely nothing shown, so at least we can see what this Big Red can do.
Exactly.
You know, like
I feel like, and actually you pointed it out to me when we were talking about the movie prior, how there is no blood really or anything.
With some gunshots, there's some squibs.
But, yeah, but I mean, for a movie, Lawnmower Man, based on the short story, The Lawnmower Man,
where animals and a human get vivisected by this mower.
Yeah, there's really nothing there.
No, and it's a real bummer. It's an R-rated movie. It's not like they had to cut it for to keep that R rating. Then again, the 90s, like the late 80s, 90s, the MPAA, which is the ratings body for the film industry, they were really hard on horror movies at the time. Like
really?
It was really like you could do very little and get hit with an R, or do very little and get hit with like an NC-17 or whatever. And so it's very possible they were just like, we're not even going to chance it. We're just going to we're going to pay homage to the story. We're going to use the words like, yeah, part of it's in the bird bath, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that might have been part of it, because it was at that time where the MPAA was really coming down hard on horror movies. But basically in the short story, so the guy the cat gets hit, he's just like, you know what, I'm done having a mower. Like, it's just kind of gross and weird. I'm going to hire someone anyway, so I'll just hire the person and their mower. And then when he calls for the kid to like mow his lawn again, he's gone up to college, so it's like, what are you going to do? He kind of puts it off.
Yeah, he gets really lazy.
Yeah.
Apparently the grass is super tall, like super hot. Wow. Apparently the grass is super tall.
Well, I get there's a supernatural vibe of just how beautifully timed the weather is, like the nice soaking, gentle rain, and then beautiful sun, and there's just the right intervals. I get this idea of like a magical, like, it feels like an entity is guiding the weather to create particularly lush, thick grass. But maybe I'm reading too much into it.
No, I agree with you. And then doesn't he call somebody out of like a phone book?
He sees an
ad?
He sees an ad for a mowing service. It was like pastoral greenery or something like that.
Which is something that I found kind of intriguing, because I was like, okay, well, there's an ad out there. You know what I mean? It's not like just some random person knocking on your door like, hey,
Sure.
I saw your grass was really lush and needed cutting. Like, he actually called this person in.
And but I mean, keep in mind, this is a local paper, local company.
True.
I mean, this is pre-internet. I mean, ARPANET was probably around, but anyway, not the cyberspace we see in the movie. But it's one of those things where, I mean, this would be like local, so they could kind of like mitigate the word. And plus, there's not like, you would not believe what this lawn mowing guy was doing, and blah, blah, blah.
True,
but then you can tell, like, they can obviously detect when you are starting to tell on them.
So that actually was one thing with the movie, too. I mean, it seems like that he did have some sort of telepathic connection, or be able to read his mind, or be able to, like, super hearing.
I mean, the dude can control the moment. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So this guy shows up. He's got a big belly, which he makes a big point of. Like, that seems kind of weird, but it reminds me of, like, construction workers who are they like to lean on their shovel. This guy's a hardcore conservative guy who's just like, oh, workers are lazy and blah, 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 etc. And so he sees him as kind of just this out-of-shape guy who's going to take his sweet time mowing the lawn. And so he's like, okay, fine, go for it. And he goes inside, and the mower revs up. And now, if you do the audiobook that's on Overdrive that I'll link to, that's when the mower sounds kick in, and the narrator's almost shouting over the blades, and it's actually really kind of a fun effect. I enjoyed that a lot.
I wish I would have listened to it. I read it, which actually on Libby. So if you
We'll
like to
link
do
to
the
that
ebook,
as well. Yep.
So I read it. So I missed out on all of that. I wish I would have heard that. I wish I would have heard the narrator shouting over this like boisterous lawnmower sound.
It just sounds so big, and it's just like just all encompassing, because it's like you want, it gives you the sense that it's like an overwhelming noise.
Yeah.
In the story, he is just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? It's heading around the back. What is that, a mower? Like he asks himself, like, is this even real? Like, what's going on? And he goes out to the back to find the mower running by itself, which is odd enough. And the dude has stripped completely naked, put his clothes in the bird bath, and is crawling behind the mower, snake style, like I want to say, like that video I made a couple years back, where I'm crawling around on the floor, basically eating the grass.
And I love the fact that he even said, like, it wasn't his clothes were haphazardly taken off. They were
Neatly
neatly folded
in the bird bath. He's not an animal.
Yeah, obviously, not an animal.
Although his feet are cloven, apparently.
But he doesn't make note of that, which he's apparently naked until the very end, right? Like, I don't think right away he notices that he's got, like, this cloven foot. I feel like he just thinks, like, this man's kind of gone mad.
He notices it later, yes.
Yeah, like what's this man doing being naked in my house? But he doesn't say anything at first.
Well, I mean, no, the guy's didn't show up naked.
No, I mean the first time that he saw it, like, he didn't say anything, like, right away.
To the guy?
Yeah, or to anybody right away. It's almost like he's going through the thought process, like, maybe this is okay?
No, I don't think so. I think he's horrified, because basically he's talking about, like, he's munching the grass, and then he sees this poor critter run across the lawn and try to get away, but the mower veers off.
And gets it.
Nails the critter, and then the guy goes over while the mower continues and eats the animal.
The animal.
And that causes this guy to pass out on his porch, and then he thinks his wife is waking him up, and the dude's like, hey, man.
And it's actually the Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, hey, how's it going? Like, some people think this is a little weird. Like, he's trying to, like, gauge, like, how this guy's feeling about it.
That's what I'm thinking of.
So, like, whatever, and then he's, like, racking his brain as to what to say to this guy who he just saw fully nude, eating grass and then eating an animal on his lawn. And he just thinks of this lyric from, like, one of his daughter's albums of, like, God bless the grass. And it was the perfect thing to say, because the guy's like, yeah, buddy, yeah. Like, he mentioned Cersei and, like, things, and it's just like, wait, what is happening?
I will say, kudos to Stephen King. I mean, obviously, he deserves a whole bunch of kudos, more so than just writing the short story. But he describes the grass being in this guy's teeth as
like the gums and stuff.
Like he's just talking about, like, the green grass and, like, fuzz growing on his teeth almost because of all the grass shards. It was just so vivid that my imagination
Well, I could
kinda
almost
went
smell
wild.
the grass reading the story,
Yeah.
listening to it this time.
Yeah, he did a very good
Oh, yeah.
job at that. So I feel like that's also another reason why I gravitated more towards the short story than the movie, is just because I was almost pulled into this. Like, I flew through the short story.
It was super evocative.
Just from the way how it was written. And like you said, you can smell the grass. I could like see the grass in this guy's teeth. I can almost picture the guy, which, I mean, was disturbing in itself, but...
Because you could and it talks about how you see the belly expanding as he eats the grass, like a lawnmower
Yeah.
bag, like expands with grass. Like, it's just like, wow, this is so gnarly. And so the guy's like, thinks the guy's cool. Like, cool, man, because, you know, sometimes we need to have like a sacrifice to kind of smooth things over. And he's just like, sacrifice, or whatever. And he's like, well, I'm gonna go do the front lawn now. And so he goes to do that, and he's like, what about the neighbors, and blah, blah, blah. And like, it doesn't seem to be worried about it. And this other guy's like, I'm gonna call the police. I'm gonna tell the police what's going on. And he gets on the phone, they answer, and he's like, tell them what? What am I gonna tell the police? And it's like, there's a naked guy on my front lawn causing a nuisance. I really need someone to come by really quick, or whatever. And the next thing you know, the lawnmower is breaking down the door.
And I love how the guy was just seriously like, you shouldn't have done that. I don't know his exact quote, but he says something like...
It just was like a tis,
Yeah,
naughty,
like,
naughty. All right, I
I
guess
was
sacrifice
cool
it is.
I was cool with you when you blessed the grass with me.
Yeah, we were
or,
good to go.
you
We
know,
thought, God bless the grass. We thought you were on board.
Yeah.
What's going on, bud?
what is this? Why would you call the police? So he has some sort of telepathic or like super hearing or something. He's just, obviously he's a paranormal guy. And I think that's where he sees the cloven feet. Because he's
Yes.
like, oh, so
Or
how
when he's
did...
talking to the guy in the back, like his toes look weird or wrong.
Yeah. But he's like, how did you hear? Oh. And the guy, is this when, or was he talking about Pan before?
He mentions...
I think that was during the God bless the grass part.
Yes, that he mentions Pan and Circe and things like that. And
Which for everyone who doesn't know about Pan, it's like a
he's like a satyr, so he's like half like goat or something, like
Yeah.
goat feet, goat legs or something
and
like
he's
that.
like
And that's his boss.
and I don't know if this is like the actual true story, but you know, you think of Pan's Labyrinth, you think of it's like this all-encompassing. When you hear Pan, you think of like the mystical. You think of like
Well,
wood
the wilderness, the
nymphs
forest, and yes.
yeah, like it's so there's some sort of mystical entity that is going on with this Lawnmower Man, the cloven feet, So something's going on, and then the favorite part of the whole story.
What's your favorite part?
The lawnmower just going into the house.
Chasing him around. He's like, oh, it's not going to do you any good. And
Which it does happen in the movie, but I feel like I just had like this grandiose thing in my mind because it talked about how loud the mower was, how big the lawnmower was. So I'm just thinking of like, actually, I was thinking of one of those tillers that you see in the fields around here.
Yes,
like with the really big...
industrial level,
yeah, going
like,
through this house and this guy like...
yeah, like essentially a giant riding lawnmower chasing him. Like,
yeah, but...
like the mechanical equivalent of like a bull, just like... just eating everything and destroying everything. Like, it doesn't cut the grass, it murders the grass. Like.
But one thing, and I don't know if it said it in the short story, I can't remember, I don't think it did, but in my mind, in my imagination, as I was reading this, is I just saw the Lawnmower Man, like, eating all the stuff that was spraying out as it was going through the house. I don't think he said that in the story whatsoever.
No, I think at this point I was like, well, we're
watching.
done playing around with that. I've eaten my fill of grass, and now I'm going to tear you down.
Yeah, but for some reason I just saw him like, keep on eating everything. I can't wait till I get to the human part.
Well, he doesn't eat the human because
No, he
the
doesn't.
remains are all there. Because the lawnmower, he trips over his own feet running away in the yard, and the lawnmower runs him over, and part of him winds up in the bird bath, and that line is pretty much quoted exactly in the movie, as well as the whole thing about he makes a lot of comments about mentally ill people that are not great,
Yes.
and thinking that the guy probably did it to himself or something. Which I'm just like, with the mower still there?
Yeah, like how is that?
I don't understand, because that's total evidence of just like, I don't know.
But I did appreciate the fact that in the short story, Stephen King did write that one of the neighbors, the police had already been notified because one of the neighbors saw it.
So it was a thing where I was wondering if they did like a magic thing of like people won't see it,
Yeah,
or hear it,
but
or
people,
only you. Or...
Yeah, but a neighbor actually saw it. So that's sort of like a little, when Stephen King does those, it's not really a gut punch, but one of those things where it's like if he wouldn't have even called the police, he wouldn't have died, and the police would have already shown up because a neighbor had already called them to be like, there's a naked man in the front yard.
Well, the odds are good the police would have taken long enough, and the guy knew it, that he would be out of there before.
He would have been out of there,
and
but
then it's like, what are you going to tell him?
yeah, but then like the main guy would have still been alive, and the fact that he's the one who
True.
called the police. So it's like one of those gut punches where it's like, ah, man, it could have been semi-okay, I guess, minus a grass clipping eating cloven-hooved man
Yeah.
naked in your yard.
Yeah.
I mean, some things you can't unsee, I'm sure, but you know. Yeah.
It was pretty good.
I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it.
It's worth a read, especially if you've only seen the movie, or But the movie's its own kind of wild fun.
Yes, I agree with that. But if you have read the short story, just erase
Take
from
the
your
story out of
mind.
your head and enjoy a film that Stephen King sued to have his name taken off of successfully, for a good reason. But it's still its own wild ride in and of itself.
And if you love some cheesy early 90s special effects, graphics,
Oh gosh,
this movie is right up your alley.
It's wild, y'all. It's wild.
If you just Google The Lawnmower Man, you see one of the most epic pictures.
Oh gosh.
And it's great.
Yeah, read the story, watch the movie. I don't think you'll be disappointed entirely by either. The movie, don't expect anything good. I think you'll have a fun time. It's just a fun, crazy, like especially a time capsule, like with VR and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
It's interesting.
It's very interesting. I'll leave my comments for
for our movie review, yes.
But yeah, check out Night Shift. That's where the Lawnmower Man story
is. The collection, yep.
And after I read The Lawnmower Man, I started to kind of go down the Stephen King short story alley with all of the other ones that I've seen for movies. So I read The Boogeyman. That's also in Night Shift, which was turned into a movie.
Was that movie based on that story, though?
It was.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And there was another one on Night Shift, too, that was turned into a movie.
There sure is, yep.
But yeah, anyway, check it out.
All right. Well, those are our thoughts on the short story. For Live at Grindhouse, I'm Jesse.
And I'm Leah.
And we'll see you Friday for the reveal episode.
Bye.